All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition here on Dodgers Dawgs, here as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. And as was stated by Sammy Boy, he stated, "Do you smell what the Dodgers are cooking?" And no, I'm not Dwayne. My name is Austin Brubaker. I am here as part of Dodgers Daily. I am not Casey Porter, who is the founder, the creator, and the main host here at Dodgers Daily. He on Mondays takes the day off, and so I am very excited to be here to join with you guys, to be a part of Dodgers Daily, and to be hosting the show here on Mondays. So I believe we are here, we are live, it is Monday night, and we are excited because we get to talk some more Dodgers baseball. This team, you can't get enough of it. You can't get enough of this organization. You can't get enough of talking about Dodgers baseball. And I couldn't be more excited to be here, to be a part of this adventure that we're going apart on Monday nights. We'll be growing. I'm going to be adding new elements, new features to the show. Hopefully, we'll be able to do a whole bunch of different good creative things here on Dodgers Daily. This is my second appearance. Last week was the premiere, kind of the test run of going live all by myself. So I'm relying on you guys again tonight as I'm new with this adventure by myself, excited to talk about Dodgers baseball. There is actually some stuff to talk about and some really exciting things about the Dodgers, about this organization, and there is a new Dodger on this club that we're going to be talking a little bit about. I don't have any footage of him quite yet. However, this is a guy that, being here in the state of Michigan, being a fan and familiar with the Detroit Tigers as well. Yes, I'm a Tigers fan as well as a Dodgers fan. My loyalty is to the Dodgers. I've been following along with Andre Lipsius for quite a while, and so I will be talking a little bit about him and his journey because he is part of the Los Angeles Dodgers. But we are excited to be here, Dodgers Daily. We already have some people, a good crowd tuning in. We're excited to be here live tonight, Monday night on Dodgers Daily. Couldn't be more excited. But the first thing that I kind of want to talk about first has to do with the roster moves that the Dodgers make. We're going to be talking a lot about that, the moves that the Dodgers make. Is there room, or could it be a possibility? Obviously, as the title suggests, could Blake Snell be a Los Angeles Dodger? It might not be totally unrealistic given the way that the market is going. It's probably a little bit of a long shot, but we shall see. And there's going to be a lot of other fun stuff to talk about tonight, but I want this show to be about you guys. What do you guys want to talk about? We'll be diving into those subjects as well as some other things that I want to talk about as well. But I couldn't be more excited to be here with you guys, and we're going to have a lot of fun here tonight. Dodgers Daily. Let's go ahead and dive into it. The first thing that we're going to be talking about has to do with the roster moves that the Dodgers made yesterday. So yesterday, the Dodgers decided to make a couple of options that have some pretty serious implications for this big league club. The Dodgers, this is from the Dodgers X account, the Dodgers have optioned right-handed pitchers Landon Knack, Ricky Vanasco, and Nick Frasso, catchers Hunter Fiducia and Diego Cartaya, and outfielder Andy Pages, and reassigned left-handed pitchers Steven Gonzalez, right-handed pitchers Jesse Hahn, Michael Peterson, and Eduardo Salazar, and outfielder Travis Swaggerty to minor league camp. In addition, they also optioned River Ryan. So this is going to have some pretty serious implications because some of the guys that we've been talking about, Casey and I have for quite a while right now, aren't going to be part, at least initially, early in the season, at the beginning of the season, part of the Dodgers plan. So we're starting to see this roster shape out. So I kind of want to go through each one of, especially the prospect guys who are going to be fighting for roster spots on this team in the future. I want to talk through each one of these guys and potentially some of the things that they can be working on going forward into where we could potentially see them come up and make a spot on the big league roster and some of the implications of everything. So the first guy that was mentioned in this clip was Landon Knack. Landon Knack is a really good, really talented pitcher, somebody who Casey and I have been talking about for quite a while. He's more of that high floor type of pitcher where he actually, in comparison to a lot of the other arms in the system, has quite a lot of really good command in his arsenal. You're talking about last season, he had really good strikeout numbers, 27.4% in Double-A, while only walking 5.4% of batters. That is really good. That is elite type of command numbers. And that was at Double-A Tulsa last year where he pitched 57 innings. When he moved to Oklahoma City, pitched 43 innings in 2023. His numbers dipped down a little bit as far as his strikeout and walk numbers. His strikeout rate lowered a little bit. His walk rate raised a little bit, meaning some of the underlying metrics weren't quite as nice as you want. Now, Casey and I have mentioned this quite a bit. You got to take this into context, and Landon Knack was dealing with some stuff through the course of the season, and to the point where you want to see him come back, you want to see him fully healthy, and I think with Landon Knack, he is not going to initially be the 5th starting pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is a huge thing that the Dodgers, they're having an open competition, and why Blake Snell is intriguing for the Dodgers, and we'll get to him in just a little bit. He's not going to be the guy on opening day, the 5th starter on this team. Yet, what I want to see from Landon Knack going forward is a continuation of what he did at the beginning of last season in Double-A Tulsa. I want to see him strike out a lot of batters while maintaining some of that control that has eluded a lot of the other Dodgers pitchers that are so great. They're so talented. The Ronan Copps, all of these pitchers that they have in the system that throw a lot of heat. They have a lot of good stuff. Yet, at sometimes it might not be always in the strike zone. Landon Knack can throw it in the strike zone, and he's got some really wicked stuff that we've seen on display in spring training so far. I want to see that done with a little bit more consistency and see just some of that explosive stuff as he continues to get healthy. If he continues to do this, if he continues to fight for everything, I think you will eventually see Landon Knack get an opportunity at the big league level. I'm excited to see what he's able to do going forward. I think that is his path. I think he's going to show a little bit more consistency and just added to the 40-man roster. So I think you're going to see Landon Knack at some point in a Dodgers uniform, and I'm excited to see him do that. But he was one of the first round of cuts, so it's going to have to be a refocus and continuation to prove a lot of the doubters wrong. Similarly, Ricky Manasco, that's somebody that Casey has been harping about for a long time as far as the nastiness that Ricky Vanasco has. This is somebody whose journey has been really intense, coming over from the Texas organization where it probably felt abandoned as far as the talent that Ricky Vanasco has, and he came with that intensity into last season to the Dodgers organization, and he just flat out shoved in all of his appearances that he had. It was really exciting, really eye-opening for Casey and I to be able to see him go out there and pitch with such velocity, pitch with just the nasty stuff that he has, and the success that he had. 1.52 ERA, a 2.84 expected FIP during his 23 2/3 innings with the Tulsa Drillers last season. I expect him to continue this success. He's going to spend a lot of time probably in Oklahoma City. I'm excited to see him be able to continue with that journey coming up in the Dodgers organization. And then we have Nick Frasso, who obviously is dealing with some injuries, so he's going to be out for a significant portion of the season. We will get a chance to see Nick Frasso, hopefully in 2024, if not in 2025. Don't forget about that kid, because that kid is extremely talented. Then I'm going to skip over Hunter Fedusha for just a second. Diego Cartaya is a really good, talented catcher in this organization, talented catcher in the system. He there's just no way to say it, that he flat out struggled in his time in Double A Tulsa last season. He's still going to need a lot of time. There's been some reporting that he's probably going to spend some time in Tulsa this upcoming season. So he's going to get a little bit more time to replicate some of the battles that he had. I know the Dodgers kind of switched around some of their organizational hitting coaches, so he will actually be with Dylan Nishaka again, who I believe he had the chance to go and have him be this coach in 2022 when he spent a lot of time and had a lot of success with Great Lakes. So hopefully he's able to tap into some of that. Hopefully some of the stress that was put upon Diego Cartaya as being the savior of the Dodgers, being the number one prospect, hopefully some of that gets alleviated just a little bit, and we get to see the true nature of Diego Cartaya, which can hit. He made a lot of strides defensively. He was really good at that, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do. He's still going to need a lot of time, and if you're expecting Diego Cartaya to be on the Dodgers early in 2024, he's still got a lot of work to do, still got a lot of work to improve. The process for these guys is not always linear. You're going to have to take some patience with these guys and continue to have them work on their skills to be better and develop. So then we get into a couple, probably two of the most interesting names on this list. Hunter Fiducia and Andy Pages. And we'll get to Pages in just a second, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have a lot of opinions about Andy Pages. But Hunter Fiducia has been optioned down to AAA Oklahoma City. So he is going to not start the season for the Dodgers, which means this very well almost inevitably means that the Dodgers are going to have Austin Barnes at least start the season for their club on the big league roster. Austin Barnes, whether you like it or not, is going to be the big league catcher, at least backup catcher for the Dodgers. And I think there's a very good reason for it. I think it has to do with he is under contract. They're paying him $3.5 million to be a part of this club, to be a part of this organization, which if you're the Dodgers, that doesn't mean a whole lot. But also something about the Dodgers that they have emphasized this offseason. This was especially apparent with the signing of Kike Hernandez. The Dodgers are very adamant and very cautious about their culture that they build in this organization. It is something, whether you like it or not, that this club, that this organization incredibly values. They really care about the culture that this Dodgers team has. They care about the guys just being able to fit in with the organization. And Austin Barnes has been a very key, very important piece of this club. Now, the past season, has he produced offensively? No, he did not produce offensively. And even defensively was a little bit of a struggle for him. He is going to at least be a part of this club for a little bit. Over the past couple of seasons, he's played in 50, 60 games, getting maybe 200 plate appearances. That is very likely, unless there's some type of injury, unless he really struggles, going to be his role going forward. And this move, especially this early in the season, is telling you that the Dodgers aren't moving away from that strategy. They're not moving away from that plan. Austin Barnes is going to be the backup catcher for the Dodgers. That is, from this move, very apparent, unless they decide to go and a guy like a Chris Oakey, who's been playing pretty well, the Dodgers decide to go with him over an Austin Barnes. I don't see that as likely. I think it's very likely that Austin Barnes is your backup catcher going into 2024, something that Casey and I have been talking about for a little while. And then that brings us to the man of the hour, the guy that has taken over the Dodgers Twitter by storm, the guy that has really put on a show, especially if you're not one of the big three, if you're not Shohei Ohtani, who's hitting 700, it feels like right now, and that's not really that much of an exaggeration. If you're not Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who pitched really well, Andy Pages has been putting on a show for the Dodgers. We saw him the other day hit an absolute moonshot for this club. Andy Pages is somebody that we've talked about quite a while in this organization. He is just flat out incredible. He has that it factor about him. Not only does he have a great arm in the outfield, which he absolutely does, not only does he have an extraordinary amount of power, which we saw fully on display in spring training, and something that has been on display if you watch this Dodgers system for quite a while. That isn't the first time that he's hit a home run as far as he had in the spring training game. He has incredible power. There was a game that I saw, and it will be mentioned, hopefully. I think I'm going to be playing a little bit of a video that I posted on my Twitter. There is a baseball that I saw him hit 461 feet over the dead center part in the outfield, over the dead center outfield wall. It was absolutely incredible, and we saw some of that power on display for Andy Pages. He draws a decent amount of walks. He doesn't strike out an exorbitant amount. He makes good decisions, yet he is not going to be a part of the Dodgers opening day roster. I fully, and I've been saying this for quite a while, I fully expect Andy Pages to be a part of this club for the long term, to be a part of this club in the future. And I think this is only a sneak preview of what Andy Pages can bring to a club, can bring to an organization, because he is just that good. He is just that talented. Andy Pages, it has that it factor. But if you are the Dodgers, the question is, who and where do you put Andy Pages? Whether you like it or not, Jason Heyward is going to be a part of this club. The Dodgers didn't sign him for 1 year, $8.5, $9 million to then cut him before spring training. He is going to get all the opportunities that he can to be a part of this club. He's going to get all the opportunities he can to be an important piece and to go up and be put into situations like he was last season, where he was extremely successful for the Dodgers. Jason Heyward, he is going to be a part of this club for at least the first couple of months, and if he starts struggling a little bit, then maybe you can see some questions. But I don't think there's any doubt in the Dodgers' mind that he is going to get a spot on this opening day roster. They have invested a lot of resources into Jason Heyward to where they are going to make that decision. Then you look up and down the rest of the roster. It is jam-packed and it is full. You're going to keep a Miguel Rojas to try to protect a Gavin Lux just in case anything happens. You're going to keep, and you just signed a Kike Hernandez. You have Chris Taylor signed up to a long-term deal. You have to have a backup catcher, so that's where Austin Barnes fits in. And no, Andy Pages does not play catcher. He is an outfielder. He can play left, center, profiles probably best in right field. They're just right now isn't a spot for an Andy Pages unless you want him to take over for a James Outman, which James Outman was a 4.5 WAR player last season. I don't anticipate that being the case. Andy Pages, though, has an incredible future with him. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited that the Dodgers fans are finally getting a chance. If you haven't already, if you haven't had a chance to watch this system yet, finally get a chance to see just how good and just how talented Andy Pages is, because he's been showing this on display for the minor leagues for quite a while, and it's coming up in a little bit. I'm going to be showing you a little bit of a video of what I have seen with Andy Pages for the Great Lakes Loons when he was back in 2021, because he was hitting moonshots like he did in spring training this year back in 2021, which means that you can look at this team, you can look at this roster and across the system and see some of the signs that could be coming up for the future, which is why we spend a lot of time on this farm system, because we are excited about what these guys can become and what these guys will become, because Andy Pages is and will become a starting outfielder at the major league level. It is about opportunity now. So the question is, when is Andy Pages going to see an opportunity at the big league level in 2024? It's a real question as far as when that's going to be. There very likely is going to be injuries that occur through the season, so you can see an opportunity open up there. Is it going to be Pages? Is it going to be Miguel Vargas? Might depend on how they are playing. If Miguel Vargas is still performing well because he's had big league experience, you could see him getting the first opportunity over Andy Pages. If it is something where Andy Pages is just performing too well and you have to force him onto the roster, that could be a really interesting case. But it is still spring training. It is still early. At least to start the season, Andy Pages is going to spend time in Oklahoma City, which is probably good because he hasn't spent more than one day in Oklahoma City. I'm excited to see how he continues to grow, continues to develop, because this guy is phenomenal, and he's already showed up in extreme big moments outside of spring training. He showed up at the minor league level at some of the biggest moments of the season, and it's just really cool to see him continue to grow, continue to develop, and to see the type of person that I have been seeing at the minor league level for quite a while. And this goes back to his time in Great Lakes in 2021. And I believe right now, and I think we're going to have some audio with this as well. So hopefully all of the audio is going to work, because this clues in on some really big key points, because Dan Hasty of the West Michigan Whitecaps does a really good job explaining the moment. Hopefully we're able to stay on because this is at the minor league level. Watch this moment from September 12th, 2021, in the midst of an intense battle in the Midwest League playoff. I want you to go ahead and watch this moment from Andy Pages. It is a really cool, unique moment that you're going to see right here, and hopefully we can get this to work.
Plate. And it's Andy Pages. And now Brian Pena wants to go talk to Zondel de la Cruz. I bet he does. Who says baseball's boring? Whole infield comes in for West Michigan. Andy Pages was jawing back and forth between the Whitecaps dugout after being hit with a pitch in his last at-bat. The pitch hit him in the head. The at-bat before that, he cranked a home run at 461 feet over the batter's eye in center field. I don't think those two are related. I've seen times where I've felt differently. I don't feel that there was intent.
When you take that field today.
But it doesn't mean that it wasn't processed that way, and Pages started jawing at Angel Reyes on his way up the first base line, and that got the Whitecaps dugout upset. And I can guarantee you, there is nobody that the Whitecaps want to make the 27th out of this game more than Pages right here.
We cannot lose.
The 27th out is always the hardest to get. And it's even harder when the man has 29 homers. First pitch to Pages. Swing and a drive. Deep into right field. It is gone. 3-run home run, Andy Pages, on a pitch that hit the dead center of the strike zone. 8-7, the Loons have pulled their playoff chances off life support. The 30th home run by Andy Pages is potentially a season changer for the Great Lakes Loons.
That is Andy Pages, September 12th, 2021, with a week to go in the Midwest League playoffs, hitting when the Loons were down 5-7 with 1 out to go before basically their playoff hopes were dead and alive. Andy Pages stepped up in that moment and took over. He has that it clutch factor when your team is down, when your team needs you the most in those big playoff type environments. Andy Pages has that it factor, and this is what I saw. This is a type of bat that this team, this Dodgers team, could use, and I think would be really great for them to have. He's not going to be at the beginning of 2024, but watch out because this kid is special, and that hopefully gives you at least a little bit of a glimpse of just how good and just how clutch Andy Pages is. That is a throwback. I want to give a shout out to MILB TV. They do a lot of the streaming for that, so that comes directly from them. Also a shout out to Dan Hasty, the West Michigan Whitecaps. Dan Hasty is phenomenal, does a great job with all of the commentary. West Michigan Whitecaps are just so hospitable with everything that they have, and every time that I go there, I thoroughly enjoy it. The people there are amazing. That is the moment that I saw for Andy Pages after he had already taken over the franchise record for the Great Lakes Loons by hitting a 461-foot home run to dead center. I was there. I'm just outside of the clip over by the third base dugout where they're doing all of the celebration. One of the best moments that I can remember going to a baseball game was that moment right there. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that moment. It was phenomenal, and that is a glimpse of what is to come for Andy Pages and the Dodgers. But the Dodgers already have a lot of really good pieces on their club right now, a lot of really exciting things about this Dodgers team, about this Dodgers organization. You have Shohei Ohtani on your team. You have Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You have Tyler Glasnow. And do you have Blake Snell on your team? Obviously, that's a little bit of an exaggeration right now. There has been no rumors right now linking the Dodgers to Blake Snell. But with the whole Scott Boras and everything, potentially Blake Snell looking for a shorter-term deal, could it be a possibility for the Dodgers to get Blake Snell on a one-year deal? Potentially. As I stated during the last show, don't go out and be buying your Blake Snell $400 Dodgers uniforms or Dodgers jerseys quite yet. I think it's a little bit too early right now. It is something that would be amazing, and if the Dodgers were going to sign Blake Snell, I would want them to sign him only to a one-year prove-it type of deal. But if you're Blake Snell, why would you sign something like that? You're coming off the Cy Young. It's your second Cy Young. It is the perfect opportunity to cash in. What is the upside of signing just a one-year deal? And I'm not saying this because I don't want the Dodgers to sign Blake Snell, or do I think it would be amazing if they did. I'm just thinking from the terms of Blake Snell, you have to be you put yourself in the best position, and now you want to try to cash out. Let's say that you win another Cy Young. You're another year older. How much better of a position are you at? Now, with that said, if I was trying to pitch to Blake Snell right now, I would say, yeah, go out and win a World Series with the Dodgers and be a part of this club. Be a part of this World Series winning club. To play with Shohei Ohtani. Get a lot of money during this one-year deal. And hopefully the market during next season is going to be better. I find that hard to reason with Blake Snell right now, although with it getting later and later into the March, it is looking potentially more and more like a possibility, especially if he's looking for that one-year deal. With the Dodgers already over the Steve Cohen tax, might as well try to give it a try. But that leaves in some interesting topics right now to discuss because the fifth starting pitching spot is open, and actually it seems like, is the answer going to be Gavin Stone going to be that fifth starting pitcher? That is a really intriguing question to ask because if you look at Fangraphs right now, Gavin Stone is the projected fifth starting pitcher for the Dodgers. Right now, Emmett Sheehan has not thrown any pitches that we are aware of or hasn't seen any in-game action. It sounds like he might not be ready to go by the start of the season. That's not coming from any inside information that I know of. That's just coming off from some rumors that I've been hearing from other people online. You look at some of the other options that you could have. Landon Knack was just sent down. Could it be a competition right now between a Gavin Stone and a Kyle Hurt for that fifth starting pitcher spot to start the season? I think it's going to be something where the Dodgers are going to be moving guys up and down. They're going to be giving guys opportunity. And right now, Gavin Stone has looked the part of a fifth starting pitcher. He has looked really well, and I'm excited to see him continue to go through that development. From his start yesterday, you saw him, even in the couple of hits, I believe it was 2 hits that he had. One was on a really good changeup that I believe it was Nolan Jones was able to just put a good piece of hitting and put it in the spot just around second base where no other defenders were. That's just a good piece of hitting. The other was a bloop pop-up base hit into the outfield. 2 hits, 3 innings. Really good performance for Gavin Stone. He has been encouraging, and it would be a great development to see him improve from a lot of the lessons that he learned last season. We talked about him a lot, be going from more of north-south, relying on that changeup, perhaps dealing with some injuries, to becoming a little bit more of an east-west type pitcher, making those adjustments that are so crucial for these guys at the minor league level to make. I think he's been making a lot of these adjustments. I think you're starting to see the fruits of that labor, the fruits of the growth that Gavin Stone has gone a part of, and I think you could very well see him take over the opportunity in this club for this roster. And I think Gavin Stone could be that opening day 5th starter, not the opening day starter, but the 5th starter on this team, on this roster, and I'm excited to see him be able to do that. Moving on, one more topic. I know I've been talking for quite a bit. Before we get into the comments section, which I've not forgotten about you guys, I just have a lot of things that I want to discuss. The Dodgers made a move today, and perhaps this should have been the thing that we talked about from the offset, because the Dodgers got a player for cash considerations. They made a trade with the Detroit Tigers. Andre Lipsius is a Dodger now. Andre Lipsius, if you are not familiar with him, drafted in the 3rd round in 2019, was a good, solid player, solid contributor for the Tigers organization. He plays a lot around the diamond. He played a lot of first, a lot of second, a lot of third, some in the outfield as well. The biggest thing to note about Andre Lipsius is his bat-to-ball skills and his ability to take walks. This is something that the Tigers really seem to value, and something that has drawn their attention to Andre Lipsius. He draws a lot of walks consistently through his career. 2022 and AA, he had a 16.4 walk percentage. And then last year in AAA for Toledo, he had a 12.4 walk percentage. His strikeout percentage is consistently below 20%. He has decent enough power production with his ISO usually being around .150. So there's a good balance of plate discipline, not a ton of strikeouts, hitting for a little bit of power, to where you could see something in this bat. You can see why the Dodgers would want a piece like this, especially because they don't have a lot of 40-man roster depth on this team. Andre Lipsius is going to play a very key, crucial point, because the Dodgers have moved Miguel Vargas to the outfield. They want him to be playing left field every single day. So when you add in an Andre Lipsius to this club, to this organization, you are adding much necessary depth to this infield, where if there is an injury and you need an infielder, if you want Miguel Vargas to keep working out in the outfield, and if you see that as his future for this club, perhaps Andre Lipsius is the guy that you call up. Now, granted, some of the defensive numbers that he played at third base at the big league level were a little bit rough this past season, but that is an area that he can continue to work on. He can continue to grow. He can provide some versatility on this club. Andre Lipsius, I don't know how long he is going to spend on the Dodgers, but let's welcome Andre Lipsius to this club, because he's going to play a really crucial depth piece that the Dodgers now have on their 40-man roster. I'm excited to see what he's able to do. I was excited about him following a little bit with the Detroit Tigers organization. He was somebody that I kept an eye on a little bit, made his debut in 2023, and in 2024, I don't see a role for him just because of how stacked this Dodgers team is right now on the big league club. There will be opportunities that present themselves. So if you're Andre Lipsius right now, take advantage of every single opportunity, continue to go through the process, continue to grind, and then hopefully one of these days you'll see your opportunity and you'll be able to take advantage of that. And Andre Lipsius, good, solid plate discipline, has a little bit of power in the bat as well, can move all around. Exactly the type of depth that the Dodgers need on this 40-man roster. As a corresponding move, the Dodgers moved Clayton Kershaw to the 60-day injured list. This is not a surprise at all for this club. The Dodgers do have a couple of guys that can be moved to the 60-day injured list. Clayton Kershaw is one of those. We expect him to come back to this club later in the season, August, September, late July. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, but Clayton Kershaw is going to be a part of this Dodgers club, and I'm excited to see him be a part of this club. Now, this presents actually a really intriguing and conundrum that the Dodgers have with this club, because some of the open roster spots on this club are on the pitching side. And there are two particularly intriguing non-roster invites on this club that I want to talk about, because this could present an interesting challenge to get both of these guys on the big league roster on opening day. I don't know where the math is to get both of these guys on the club. And those two guys that I'm talking about, Daniel Hudson and Justin Wilson. Daniel Hudson is one of those guys on the bubble of this roster right now, non-roster invite, yet all of the rumors, all of the speculation seems to be that Daniel Hudson is going to find some sort of role, potentially and likely, on the opening day roster for the Dodgers. That means that Daniel Hudson, because he isn't on the 40-man roster, would need a spot. You could move Nick Frasso, who is not currently on the 60-day injured list. You can move him to the 60-day injured list. There's a roster spot open for Daniel Hudson. There are no other obvious choices right now to be moved to the 60-day injured list if you want to move a Justin Wilson onto this club. So that brings up the question, okay, is there another guy that you could move to a 60-day injured list? How far away really is a Walker Buehler? Could that be an option? I don't anticipate it, and I'm sure that would freak out a little bit of the Dodgers fans if Walker Buehler has to go on the 60-day injured list, but perhaps that's a possibility. Or is it something where if the Dodgers don't want to have Alex Vesia on the opening day roster and they would prefer to have a Justin Wilson who is fighting and competing for his big league career right now, is that the opportunity that Justin Wilson has? Is there going to have to be another cut to a player of this roster? That is an intriguing thought to look at this roster as far as the fallout of bringing over a guy like an Andre Lipsius who's going to provide some much needed depth. But does that present a little bit of an issue for getting both Daniel Hudson and Justin Wilson on this big league club? I don't know. I'm just kind of presenting both of those ideas out there. It's very possible that they could find room, and the Dodgers do a great job of putting their club in the best possible position to succeed. And we know how much the Dodgers prefer to go for their veteran type arms, especially when they're investing. They've invested over $1 billion into this club this offseason. I don't know if there's going to be opportunity for both of those guys yet. The Dodgers are going to find room. They're going to find a way for this club. We'll see what happens for this team, for this organization. But it has already been a great night here on Dodgers Dogs, here as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. I'm very excited to be a part of this journey, that you guys have decided to join me here on Dodgers Dogs. I want to go into a little bit into the comments section right now because I don't think we've done that yet here on the show. And my part of my screen right now, I'll be looking down on my phone right now. The comment section on my computer right now isn't exactly great, so we'll be going through a couple of comments right here. So if I look down, that's just because this is the way that I have to view all the comments right now. By the way, if you have not liked or subscribed yet, be sure to do so. We stream here quite a bit, and we'll be talking a lot about the Dodgers as well. We'll also be going to, after I get through some of the comments, we'll be talking about the pontooners. What is that? What do I actually mean by that? We'll be getting into that as well because I got to give a shout out to my own Great Lakes Loons organization. Justin Lamas is in the chat right now talking a lot about Blake Snell. Why not resurrect the 2020 Tampa Bay Rays team? Bring back Brett Phillips. Go get Margot back, even though we just traded for him. Joey Wendell, Willie Adames, all of that club. Obviously, that's a little bit more of a funnier type of comment. But the Tampa Bay Rays of 2020 were a really good team and were a good, tough foe for the Dodgers. Dodgers ended up winning the World Series that year, and that's great. But the Tampa Bay Rays, Blake Snell, pitched phenomenal in that series. It'd be amazing if the Dodgers were able to get a guy with the talent caliber of Blake Snell. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights is in the chat. Same with Harley, Showtime LA. It is really cool to see you guys as part of the chat. Showtime LA. Hey, hello, Austin. Did you see DePaula? Yes. Did you guys get the chance to see Josue DePaula hit that opposite field home run the other day in spring training? That was really exciting, and especially if he's able to hit for some of that power with some of the plate discipline numbers that he has, you start to get really excited about Josue DePaula. He might spend a little bit of time in Rancho, but I expect him to spend a lot of time at the high A affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Great Lakes Loons, which will be covered on MILB TV, which means for people at home, you'll be able to see a lot of Josue DePaula do exactly what he did in spring training, hit some bombs. Hopefully he's able to hit for a little bit more power this season. Either way, this kid has a ton of talent. He's still incredibly young, so be patient with him. Be patient with some of your expectations, but I have a lot of really high hopes for Josue DePaula, who's going to do some great, amazing things for the Dodgers and for the Dodgers organization. Also want to give a shout out to a couple of other guys. Austin Gauthier, I wasn't part of the show on Friday night. Whatever he hit the home, I think it was Friday night when Austin Gauthier hit the home run, the grand slam to get the go ahead, put the club ahead. That was really cool for me to see. Somebody that I got to see a lot of in 2023. I actually got the opportunity to write a story on him, Austin Gauthier, and just how good, just how talented he was, and just how elite of a season Austin Gauthier had, where he had 500 plate appearances, 150 WRC plus, and more walks than strikeouts. That has only happened 20 other times since 2006 at the minor league level. Truly elite the season he had, and he's just getting started. And I'm excited to see the undrafted kid from Hofstra overcome, defeat the odds on his way to becoming a major league player, which I fully anticipate Austin Gauthier being a big league player. And that has to inspire every single guy in this organization. If he can do it, if Austin Gauthier can do it and overcome everything to do it, so can I. That has to be the mindset of these guys, and I'm really excited to see him be able to do that. We also have some other people in the chat. Roy Strada, thank you very much for joining us. Very excited to see you be a part of the chat. Von Mills, thank you very much for joining a part of the chat as well. Desert R, glad to have you on, Austin. Thank you very much. BC, thank you very much for joining as well. Roy Estrada, why an infielder and not another pitcher as far as the addition of Andre Lipsius? I think it had to do with the Dodgers don't have a lot of 40-man roster talent that they have to call up. And if you add, let's say, an Austin Gauthier to your 40-man roster to be able to call him up what happens when Clayton Kershaw is ready to go mid-season? You're going to have to cut somebody on the roster. And do you want to cut in Austin Gauthier? Do you have to find somebody else to cut on this roster? That becomes extremely tough to find anybody to cut on the roster. And so I think having a guy like an Andre Lipsius, especially because you want to give Austin Gauthier some more time in Oklahoma City, which he spent all of his time last season in high A and double A. You want him to get his reps there. Andre Lipsius is going to bridge the gap. Plus, I think there's a lot of untapped potential with Andre Lipsius. So I think that's why the Dodgers decided to get an infielder as opposed to another pitcher, which the Dodgers have a lot of pitchers that are all fighting for opportunities, which is extremely hard to get in the system. Harley Anderson mentions Kyle Hurt. Kyle Hurt could be another guy that is, and very much is, fighting for a spot as far as the 5th starting pitcher spot or a part of this bullpen. And I've talked a lot about Kyle Hurt, him having close to a 40% strikeout percentage in 2023 for the Dodgers system in a combination of AA and AAA. Kyle Hurt, I can't speak enough about how good this kid is. Dodgers fans had a chance to see that during his one appearance at the big league level this past season, him going up against the Padres, striking out 3 of them in 2 scoreless innings. He is on the way. He is talented. He needs to get opportunities. He's going to be turning 26 here, coming up in a couple of months right now. The one reason why the Dodgers might, and I'm not saying that this is a good reason to keep him down, but one of the reasons why the Dodgers might keep him down, at least to start the season in Oklahoma City, one has to do with a very limited amount of roster spots on this club. They could also want to see him get a little bit more experience in Oklahoma City. He has thrown 27 innings in Oklahoma City. Gavin Stone has pitched about 120 so innings in Oklahoma City, so you could maybe see the nod go there to a Gavin Stone. Either way, Kyle Hurt, the Dodgers are going to have to find some sort of way to get Kyle Hurt onto this big league roster sooner rather than later, because this kid is too talented to be down in Oklahoma City for a large portion of his prime. He is really good. He's got the swing and miss stuff. We saw him be able to keep it under control with the command. And with the amount of swing and miss that he has, there's a really good metric that you have, not only strikeout percentage, but walk percentage. Another good indicator is K percentage minus walk percentage. It is exactly how it sounds. Just subtract your strikeout percentage minus your walk percentage, which is a little bit better than the strikeout percentage divided by walk percentage, because you want some of those guys that can get a lot of swing and miss. You want a lot of swing and miss, because then you know that's an out. If there is a low strikeout, low walk type of guy, there's a lot of batted balls in play. There's a lot of unpredictability with that. If you get a guy that strikes out a lot of hitters, even if that comes with a little bit more increase in walks, I think that is something that a lot of big league organizations, especially the Dodgers, would like that type of profile, and Kyle Hurt is really good with that. His strikeout minus walk percentage in AA this past season was 27.6%, and in 2023 in AAA was 28.4%. Elite type of numbers, because that comes with a close to 40% strikeout percentage. Kyle Hurt is a really good, talented pitcher that the Dodgers are going to have to find some way to put on this roster sooner rather than later, and I fully anticipate them to be able to do that. It's extremely crowded right now, especially if you want a Daniel Hudson or a Justin Wilson to be a part of this roster. So a lot of really good stuff. You guys are just going crazy here down in the comment section. I'm going to be going to these as quickly as I possibly can. Justin Lamas asks, hey Austin, do you believe Pages and Ramos have long-term futures as starting outfielders? And or do we need a stopgap outfielders to when we sign Kyle Tucker in 2026? Really good, interesting prediction. Kyle Tucker, obviously, Dodgers fans are not a fan of Kyle Tucker because of the team that he currently plays on, the Houston Astros, and all that goes around with that. Kyle Tucker is really talented. He's a left-hander. He's he's just a really good, talented hitter. And I think we just have to say that. Even though he's on the Astros, we have to recognize the talent that he has. The Dodgers also have two really good talents, Andy Pages, Jose Ramos. Let's start with Pages. And I was able to, if you didn't get a chance to see it while I was doing live, about 20 or so minutes into the show, I showed a really crucial clip of Andy Pages in 2021. It's a really cool, unique moment. I highly encourage you guys go back and watch that. I fully expect and anticipate Andy Pages to have a big league career as an outfielder, and I project him to be a starting caliber outfielder because of the power projection that he has, because of his ability to have that insane arm in the outfield, because of his contact skills being really good and above average for a power hitter. I think if he was any part of any other organization, or at least most other organizations, he would already be on this big league club, and I think a lot of teams would be talking about him a lot. And obviously the Dodgers are talking about him a lot. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Perhaps other teams would want to see him in AAA as well. Andy Pages, I think, definitely has a big league future as the outfielder. Obviously, nothing is given, and he still has to prove himself at Oklahoma City at AAA. But with the projection that he has, with the power, I fully anticipate him being and getting a lot of opportunities at the big league level through the course of his career. I'm really excited about it. Jose Ramos, another really good, interesting case. Somebody who, if you look at just the overall skill set, the overall tools, the arm, the power that he has, which we saw that on display in spring training. We've seen Jose Ramos be really good this spring training. We've seen him have a lot of good results, a lot of good success. That is incredibly encouraging because Jose Ramos has a lot of similar tools to an Andy Pages, perhaps with a little bit more swing and miss and a little bit less of the walk percentage. I think he still has the great power, but with that power, with Jose Ramos, comes a little bit more swing and miss, more instead of the 24% strikeout percentage, more of the 29%, closer, pushing it to 30%. If he can get that down, if he could continue to get marginally better, which he was able to do that a little bit last season, even though the overall results with the WRC Plus going back down to 97 last year weren't great. Some of the marginal things that you look at with his plate discipline, with his walks and strikeout percentage, which I wish we had numbers as far as his zone contact and some of his in-game decision-making for some of his swings. I think Jose Ramos, if he can just continue to clean up some of these and tap into that power that he did so much so in 2022 especially, I think you could see Jose Ramos reestablish himself as being that big league caliber type of outfielder. And I think we're starting to see the signs of Jose Ramos turn it around, start to see some of the signs of Jose Ramos become the type of player that we want him to be and that he can be at the big league level. So I think Jose Ramos can have that potential at the big league level, being a big league caliber outfielder. The question is, if he doesn't have the floor that an Andy Pages has, that he creates because of his good plate discipline. I think that creates a little bit of a higher floor with Andy Pages, but I think Jose Ramos has a similar type of ceiling because he has very similar skill sets to Andy Pages. So that's another way of saying both of them absolutely could be big league caliber outfielders. Will they be? That's another question, and that is something that I don't know. That is something that is very difficult to project, and if one club knew it, they would be amazing. They'd win a whole bunch of more games than what they have. This thing, baseball, projecting it is incredibly difficult, and there's very little easy answers, which makes what the Dodgers have been doing with the talent that they have accrued, with the amount of success that they've had over the past decade plus, that makes it that much more impressive because they have been able to do it. And they've found sustainable success, which has eluded so many other organizations. So I'm excited to see if Jose Ramos and Andy Pages, as they continue to project going forward, going to be a big year this year. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Dodgers do in 2025 for the outfield, because Jason Hayward will be not under contract. Teoscar Hernandez won't be under contract. And then Kike Hernandez won't be under contract. So you have James Outman and then some question marks right now. So that alludes to some potential really exciting opportunities in the future and exciting openings for a guy like a Pages or a Ramos or even a Miguel Vargas, who's going to be continuing to fighting, who actually, if you look at his numbers right now, is performing pretty well in the postseason, mostly because of his success that he had the other day in spring training, had that home run. I'm still... Be patient with Miguel Vargas, and hopefully he's able to figure it out, turn it around, become the big league player that we know he can become. And we're saying that because we want him to succeed. Deuce is in the chat, so very thank you for joining us tonight. Says Snell, no. Doesn't want Blake Snell to be part of this club, which if you want to sign Blake Snell to a long-term deal, I totally get, because I don't want to sign Blake Snell to a long-term deal. The only scenario that I would sign a Blake Snell is if you're able to convince him to go on the team to a 1, at most 2-year type of deal, which I find that hard for Blake Snell to accept, although maybe not completely impossible the later and later that we get into spring training. Michael joins us from Thailand. Look at that. Michael from Thailand. I actually had a chance to go to Thailand back, a decade ago. So Thailand has a big importance, a big part of my heart. My family knows a bunch of people that are over in Thailand. So thank you for joining us. As you always do, you guys are the best fans out there. Michael joining us from Thailand. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Roy Strada, if I was Snell, I would sign with the Dodgers 1 year with the chance to go to the World Series and re-enter free agency next year. Winning in playoffs raises your stock. I think that is a good, solid point. The only possible thing that I could throw back out there is a guy like a Jordan Montgomery, who maybe isn't at the exact same standard as a Blake Snell, but who had a ton of success with the Texas Rangers last year in the postseason. He's still looking for a home right now. And you could say there's a wide variety of different regions, with the whole Scott Boras trying to hold things out, with the whole talk about the TV deals and what's going on with that. That would be the only possible counterpoint. And if you're Blake Snell, you want to get as much money as you can. And what are the odds that you're going to go out there and win another Cy Young and your stock is going to be as high as it is now, with you being a year older? However, I totally get the sentiment, and I would totally do that and be super excited if he was able to sign with the Dodgers, because you can, as the old saying goes, you can never have enough pitching, and that would be amazing if the Dodgers were able to get him. One-Eyed Dragon is in the chat, and so is Craig Osterberg, who always joins the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining as well. Harley Anderson, Snell on a 1 year, go for the ring, obviously. And that's something that all of us in the chat, all of us want. We want the Dodgers to go out there. We want them to win a World Series, and we're all trying to find the best way for this team to go ahead and win the World Series, which makes talking about baseball so much fun. Talking about baseball, very exciting, and it's a lot of fun to be able to do this here with the best fans out there as far as Dodgers Daily. If you have not done so, be sure to like and subscribe. Would definitely help, would definitely appreciate it here as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. So we're going to get to a couple more of the comments right now. Normally, I don't think fans ever considered Cartaya to be the savior of the team. I think that's totally a fair point. I think a lot of people look at these prospects and think with very good reason about them being the future of the club. He's going to be the next future catcher of the team. He's going to be the next future part of this team. Maybe not the savior. That was probably the wrong way for me to go about wording it. But they very well look forward to these guys, and there's a lot of high expectations placed on these guys, and the weight of that expectation can be a lot, especially when you're somebody like Diego Cartaya coming over to America, coming over, being a part of this game, being a part of a game that you've been so successful in as you've grown up throughout your career, and you start to deal with these struggles. And this is when all of the weight of the media, all the weight of the viewership is on you. When you are considered one of the best prospects in the game of baseball, that can be overwhelming for a player. It can be overwhelming for a hitter, and something that we have to keep in mind for these guys as they go through their journeys, and we have to have a little bit of grace with them. So don't be excited about a lot of these guys, but don't put all of the weight of them being the savior, which, as was stated by Norm Lee, is not something that the Dodgers should do and probably have not doing. But I'm excited to see what Diego Cartaya is going to be able to do. He's still very good. That Diego Cartaya of 2022 is still in there, and I expect him to have a good season, especially with working with Dylan Nishaka, the hitting coach, which, by the way, Casey had an interview with Dylan Nishaka, so if you want to hear him talk a little bit about his hitting philosophy, that is something that I would go check out here on Dodgers Daily. A lot of interviews with a lot of the coaches that are working with these guys through the system, because every single step of the process matters and is important. We're going to go ahead and continue on here in the comment section. Showtime LA. Austin, how concerned are you about Sheehan's health? That's a really good question. I have not heard much of anything. You guys have about as much information. You guys have as much information as I do as Emmett Sheehan and his health is concerned. So I'm not exactly sure what is going on. But with him not starting right now, it does cause some alarms. He has been somebody who, in the past, I remember in 2022, he started out the season. I actually got to see him not on opening day, but the day after opening day, the second game of the season. He got a chance to go ahead and play for the Great Lakes Loons, and he was amazing during that day. Honiel Choi was the opening day starter. Emmett Sheehan was game 2, and I remember going there because there was somebody at church the next day who was a Dodgers fan, and I told him, watch out for Emmett Sheehan. But then he spent the next couple of weeks on the injured list. And this obviously doesn't have anything to do with that. But with Emmett Sheehan, he was able to come back from that performance. And after some initial struggles with him coming back after the injured list, he was able to find his groove, and he took off after he came back. After his first couple of appearances, he got on a roll, and he never looked back from that. So with Emmett Sheehan, obviously, it's a little bit concerning the further and further away that we get with him not being on this club right now. But I still anticipate him having a role for this club in the future. We'll just have to wait and see to see how his health is and to see what he is able to do when he's able to contribute. But I think some of the other guys in the system, Gavin Stone, I think is going to step up and play a big crucial role. And I think you're going to see, can Gavin Stone be a good, effective pitcher for this club, whether that be on the club for the starting pitcher, or if he gets crowded out, can he carve out a role for his club, long relief, whatever. He's going to get an opportunity to do that. I think you're going to see a guy like perhaps a Kyle Hurt get a lot of opportunities as well. So Emmett Sheehan, be patient with the process, but the further and further we get out from some of the news, it does become a little bit concerning if you are the Dodgers fans. But that is something that I'm not privy to any other new information that you guys are aware of right now. So a little bit concerned, but something that I'm not entirely just don't have any information right now. So we're going to get to some comments right now, and this is a little bit further down in the chat as I lost it on my phone right now, so we're going to go a little bit later. Dan Inspiration, Page's power reminds me of Joey Votto power. That's really intriguing right there, actually, and that'd be awesome if he had even partially the career that a Joey Votto had, or partially some of that power that Joey Votto. He had the great discipline and he had good power. He was just a good, solid hitter. Still probably is. Still looking for a home in free agency. But if he's able to tap into that type of power, Andy Pages has a ton of power, similar to some of the sluggers that we've seen in the past in Major League Baseball. So it's exciting to see him continue to grow and develop at the big league level. Dan Inspiration also stated that Glasnow is probably recruiting Snell for us. That would actually be intriguing if there was any sort of truth to that, or if Tyler Glasnow, who when he pitched the other night was extremely effective, was extremely dominant, and now how exciting was that to see Tyler Glasnow? You got to see a glimpse of him in Dodgers uniform and have the success, have the great breaking ball that he had with the fastball. He's really good, and he's going to be an ace-level pitcher for this Dodgers club, an arm that the Dodgers desperately needed. And I know there's been just some talk in the Discord, which we have a Dodgers Daily Discord. If you have not joined that as well, there's been a lot of talk about some of the past injuries that he had. Maybe he hasn't really been dealing with a whole lot of injuries. Maybe that had to do more with some of the misdiagnosis. Perhaps he's a little bit more healthy than what we possibly thought. But Tyler Glasnow, I think no doubt, has proven himself to be a great big league piece. And if he's recruiting a Blake Snell, that would be amazing for the Dodgers if you're able to get that piece. Because if you have a Yamamoto, if you have a Blake Snell, a Tyler Glasnow, a Bobby Miller to add to this club, then you still have a Walker Buehler coming back, a Clayton Kershaw, James Paxton, before you even get to the Kyle Hurts, to the Gavin Stones, to the Emmett Sheehans. It creates a little bit of a logjam for a lot of the younger guys, but if this Dodgers club is going out to win a World Series and you need to pull out all the stops to be able to do so, perhaps that is the best possible move that you can make. And yeah, no, Tyler Glasnow, it'd be amazing if he was recruiting Blake Snell. Still find it unlikely. Don't buy your Blake Snell Dodgers jerseys quite yet unless there's been a signing that has taken place over the course of this live stream. So we will have to wait and see with that. So we're going to go ahead and continue with the comments section right now. Deuce says, I hope Pages doesn't go on the Bush development track. And I think that is a really good point and something that Casey and I have been talking a lot about recently, about Andy Pages, how we don't want Andy Pages before it was announced that the Dodgers decided to option him down and how he won't make the opening day roster. We don't want Andy Pages to be the fourth outfielder who gets into games 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week if he's lucky. We don't want that to be Andy Pages' future as part of this club. We want Andy Pages to be a future big league starter. So if Andy Pages is part of this club, we want him to be a starter as opposed to a guy who just kind of fills in if needed. And I think if you had Andy Pages be part of this club right now, he would have been just a bench type piece, because how are you going to get him with Teoscar Hernandez, with James Outman, with Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, with Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Gavin Lux, Will Smith, all of these guys. Perhaps you can put them in the Jason Hayward type role, but then you would have to cut a Jason Hayward, and the Dodgers just aren't going to do that right now. So he's going to get some at-bats. The hope is he does not waste or spend a lot of his big league career or a lot of his prime in Oklahoma City. I want him to get some big league at-bats. I don't want to see his career wasted in Oklahoma City and then traded away later, because I think he's so good, so talented, and the Dodgers should take advantage of that. He's going to get it some time at the minor league level and AAA this season, and then hopefully in 2025 he can be that starting caliber outfielder and he can prove himself this season, perhaps get some reps if there's some injuries or an opportunity arises. Maybe he can get an opportunity to prove himself and become a big league outfielder towards the end of the season, maybe get onto the postseason roster. We still have to wait and see with Andy Pages, but I totally get it. And I think that comes from a good heart, too, of wanting these guys to get opportunities at the big league level. I also wish Michael Busch the best of luck in Chicago, which I think is going to be a better opportunity for him over there. And the Dodgers got a really good piece, Jackson Ferris, Zaire Hope, in exchange for Michael Busch. I think the Dodgers did a good job with that and doing right by Michael Busch, and excited to see what he's able to do. Also, how awesome is it, if you haven't been paying attention, Eddie Slanar is tearing the baseball over in Detroit. Today he had a couple, if you look at the box score, it was over 107, an expecting batting average of 850, line out to deep center field, and then a good line out 95 mile per hour off of the bat to deep left field as well. The Dodgers have so much talent in this system that you're going to have to give up some talent at times, and it's going to hurt, it's going to sting. That's just because this club is too good, this club is too talented, and it's exciting to see these guys, this superstar team, be forming to build. One Eye Dragon says Pages reminds me a little bit of Clemente. That is extraordinary praise. If he's anywhere close to the level of player that Roberto Clemente is, that would be a game changer for the Dodgers. And he is extremely talented. Not saying that Pages is or will be Clemente. That is a extraordinary bar to give to a guy who has not played more than a game in AAA. But the talent level, he has a lot of talent, and there's a lot of reason to be excited for Andy Pages. We're going to go ahead and continue on to this right here. Dan Inspiration, Snell, 3 years, $100 million with 2 opt-outs. That would be an intriguing type of contract because it's one of those shorter-term deals that you'd be looking for if you're the Dodgers. You don't want a 6-7 year deal where things can go bad at the end. And that's for that type of money with that type of deal and with the arm talent that Blake Snell has. The question is, when do you expect and how hard of a regression do you expect there to be for a Blake Snell going into the future? I don't know exactly what that's going to look like for Blake Snell going into the future for the regression. So that's going to be a really interesting question for him going forward. So if it is a 3-year type of deal, we'll have to go ahead and see what that ends up turning out to be. But I'm excited to see the possibilities for Blake Snell going forward. And hopefully the connection is still good. Some weird things have been going on with my computer. But we are back here a little bit on my end right now. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Denard, thank you very much for joining us tonight. The Domino as well is joining us, who is a good friend of mine. Sad that the Tigers won't have Lipsies, but I'm excited to see what they can do in LA. Hope you're doing well as well, Domino. Dan Inspirations mentions that I'm losing hope in Miguel Vargas. I think that's the sentiment of a lot of Dodgers fans right now. My one thing that I'll say is the hits tool that he has, I think still is in there. And I think what we were able to see during the most recent outing in spring training was really good. He obviously had a good performance. All of the talent is still in that bat. Be patient with him. I think he's going to get adjusted in left field. You don't want to give up on these guys completely right now. But he has had his opportunity at the big league level, which is exactly what we fight for these guys to get, for that opportunity at the big league level. Be patient with Miguel Vargas. Maybe you're not as excited about him as other guys with Andy Pages, but don't completely give up on Miguel Vargas. I fully know the type of player that he can be and the caliber of player that he has proven in the past to be. I still believe that that is in there. Perhaps I'm foolish. Perhaps I should be giving up on him. But with these guys, I'm going to continue to fight for these guys, and I still believe that they are good, that they are talented, and that he can get an opportunity at some point in the future if he goes out there and becomes and executes to the level that he can and is capable of. So I'm still excited for him. Still a lot of work with Miguel Vargas, and he's still going to have to fight for the opportunities, especially with these guys coming up, with Andy Pages emerging, with Jose Ramos, with Ryan Ward, with Drew Avens, with Austin Gauthier, with all these guys we're seeing in spring training that are fighting for opportunities. It is no longer a given for Miguel Vargas. Continue to fight, continue to strive, and don't give up on him quite yet. He's still fairly young too, and he's still got a lot of talent, so be patient with a lot of these guys. Cool. We're going to continue to go into the comments. Right now, I still believe Clayton Kershaw is going to pitch this upcoming season. It has not been confirmed, and he still has to work through a lot of progression to get back out there. But I still anticipate, or at least I'm anticipating right now him being a part and a contributor to this club at some point in the future, later in the year. So we're going to go ahead and continue on right now. They're talking a lot about cash considerations being given to the Tigers in exchange for the newest Dodger, Andre Lipsius, infielder. A lot of talent, good plate discipline right now. So I'm excited to see him as he fills in some of the voids as the Dodgers need it right there. Hepatitis See You Later is joining the chat. Walker going on the 60-day wouldn't be concerning. To be honest, might be preferred that way he gets more rest and the Dodgers are able to add another arm. I think that is a really good point, and that goes back to the discussion of Daniel Hudson and Justin Wilson. If you want to add both of these guys to the club, you can move Nick Frasso to the 60-day injured list, make room for a Daniel Hudson. But if you want to make room for a Justin Wilson, you're going to have to find either some other guy to cut or move somebody else to the 60-day injured list. That could be Walker Buehler, and I don't know the Dodgers' timetable for him as far as when they are thinking about him coming back. Is it going to be May? Is it going to be June? Are they going to push it back further and further? If the timeline gets into June, then you could see it as a realistic possibility for the Dodgers to move Walker Buehler to the 60-day injured list. And if they prefer Justin Wilson over an Alex Vesia, and Alex Vesia does have a minor league option, that becomes a real possibility. So it's interesting whether you think that the Dodgers should make that move, or whether that would be concerning if the Dodgers decided to move Walker Buehler, who I think would be the last person to be added to the 60-day injured list when talking about Nick Frasso versus a Walker Buehler. That's a really good, interesting conversation. Justin Wilson is still going to have opportunities and is still going to be fighting for a spot right now on this team. New Blue Order Christopher is joined the chat. It says, we still need one more bullpen closer stud we can trust in the playoffs. I trust Evan, and that's it. I think that is a really good point, and I think it's in a sentiment that a lot of the Dodgers fans have about not really trusting and having a go-to guy out of the bullpen right now. I think there's still a ton of talent on this club out of this bullpen. I still like, and I know this might not always be the most popular opinion for the Dodgers, I still like a Brusdar Graterol. I know he doesn't have great extension. I know the expected numbers aren't there, but I like that velocity with the high ground ball rate. I think he's still really good, really solid out of the bullpen. Talk about some of the other arms that are out of the bullpen. A Joe Kelly has really good numbers, especially splits against right-handed hitters that you can get out late in games, and can still be an electric type guy. They signed Ryan Brazier again, who is a little bit better against left-handed pitchers. You have Blake Trinan, who can come back, a Daniel Hudson, who they're both a little bit older, but they can prove that they can get big league caliber outs. But I think that's a really good solid point that they don't have the go-to guy that you might rely upon in the big late inning type of environments to close, to end the game. And I think that is something that the Dodgers initially going into the season are going to try to see what they have out of the bullpen. And then if they get closer and closer to the trade deadline and they still need a closer, they're going to evaluate a lot of their needs. Is there another need that we're not anticipating come up where the Dodgers might have to use a lot of their prospect resources to go after that? I think the bullpen is the easiest problem for you to fix on the fly because those are the guys that you can get for the cheapest. And the Dodgers have a lot of guys in this system that are talented that they can call up, that they can try in different late inning type of roles. Bullpen shouldn't be overlooked. It shouldn't be something that is ignored, but I think it is something that can be addressed later. So while it is a totally valid concern, I think it is something that the Dodgers are keeping an eye upon, and they will address at some point, perhaps with a Tanner Scott, who we've been talking about for several months now, or perhaps it's another late inning reliever that we aren't even thinking of right now that might break out in 2024. A lot to be determined. Val Reyes is in the chat. What's up, Austin? Go Dodgers. Go Dodgers. Absolutely as well. Right now, we're going to go ahead and look through some of the comments right now. Damino says, go Loons, April 5th, right? That is correct. For a lot of the minor league baseball, for the AA, for the high A, and the single A affiliates for the Dodgers, they are going to start their games on April 5th. And I believe Oklahoma City is going to start maybe a week earlier. And Dodgers baseball is going to be starting on March 20th, which is 16 days away from now. That's going to be at the Korea series. It's going to be 3 a.m. on the Pacific Coast when the game is going to start. So I know Dodgers fans are either going to go to bed really early, or they're going to be up all night, or they might be try to go to bed early but be too excited and then just stay up all night. It's going to be an exciting day coming up 16 days from now. Major League Baseball's opening day, with all of the focus on the Dodgers and watching them be able to compete in Korea. Then they'll get their home opener a week or so after that against the Cardinals. Baseball is coming back. It is spring training. There's a lot of spring training games going on. We are not getting the spring training Dodgers game today, but what we have seen has been a lot of great Dodgers baseball, a lot of winning baseball right now. I know winning doesn't matter right and spring training, but still exciting for this club to be able to win a lot of games, and excited to see them continue to succeed. Hepatitis, see you later. Gauthier going to be the future Chris Taylor type. I think that is exactly correct, and this is something that I've been talking about for quite a while. Austin Gauthier, versatile, great bat-to-ball skills, walks more than he strikes out, and has been doing that for quite a while. When he does put the ball in play, he's been really successful and performed really well. Has a sneaky amount of pop to his bat, too. He might not be the 30 home run type of hitter, but last year he had a dozen home runs. He could be more of that potentially 15 home run type of player, which if he's able to get to that level of potential, if he's able to hit 15 home runs with the plate discipline that he has, with the ability to get a lot of base hits, and with the versatility, even the versatility alone is incredibly valuable in today's game, especially to the Dodgers. Austin Gauthier has all the potential in the world, and we've been able to see that on display in spring training. Somebody on Dodgers Daily, we've been talking about him quite a while. Very excited to see him continue to grow and continue to develop as he is part of this system right now. And we're going to go ahead and go to some of the other comments right now. Deuce says, Hurt is better than half of our bullpen. Kyle Hurt, I will say he is incredibly talented, and there's a lot of people that would have that opinion that he deserves to have a prominent role in this big league bullpen. The question is, will the Dodgers give him that opportunity? And if they give him that opportunity, are you willing to sacrifice Daniel Hudson and his role on the Dodgers to get Kyle Hurt that opportunity? Or are you willing to not have Blake Trinan be on this team at all? That is the real question, and that is the real competition. Or maybe Kyle Hurt is fighting for that fifth starting position role, because he has been a starting pitcher through the course of his minor league career. Because you see, over the course of the last couple of weeks in spring training, the battle between Gavin Stone and Kyle Hurt for that fifth starting pitcher role right now. A lot of interesting things for him to fight for right now. Well, I'm excited to see what he's able to do. Gotta be patient with him, and he will force his way onto the Dodgers sooner than later. He is just that good. He is just that talented. And as Hepatitis C later says, curious to see the Dodgers mold Hurt into a starter or as a reliever. I think with Kyle Hurt, it wouldn't matter just as long as he's able to get onto the big league roster, as long as he's able to compete at that level. I think that is something that he wants to be a part of, those big moments and get those big time outs, because he will get those big time outs. Justin Lamet says depends on if they think they can sign a lefty long-term like Snell, Montgomery, Max Fried. I think that's a good point as far as whether the Dodgers could go after left-handed starting pitcher. They have the short-term value of a James Paxton, which is very similar to like the starter out of Miami, Jesus Luzardo, that we talked about quite a bit. Very similar to the type of profile that he has. So it'll be interesting to see what he has. Hepatitis C later says Jose Ramos' plate discipline looked great this spring training. That is one of the knock on him. Hopefully that translates well to the spring training. That is absolutely correct. If he can continue to have the great plate discipline that he has displayed so far in the spring training, that is going to be a boom for the development of Jose Ramos, and he's going to continue to push forward that big league career that he's been fighting for. He was part of the World Baseball Classic, played for Panama, had a good catch in the outfield. Now he's starting to showcase it on the national stage as far as spring training right now. Sooner or later, if he can continue to work on this plate discipline and continue to work on the marginal parts of the game, he can be a big league caliber player. He has the tools, he has the potential to be able to do that. There's some talk about potentially Max Fried coming to the Dodgers next season. That would certainly be interesting if the Dodgers decide to go down that route. I know Max Fried, Atlanta Brave, really talented pitcher. Do they go after him? Do they go after Roki Sasaki? Will be very interesting to see what happens. Daniel says, even though Andy is going to become one of the future outfielders, we need to use Teoscar as much as we can because he's with us for the season, and then who knows what he's going to do. Yeah, the Dodgers are going to take advantage of Teoscar Hernandez on this club. He is part of this club for 2024, signed the 1 year, $23.5 million club deal. And that's essential for the Dodgers to have because he is the guy that can hit against left-handed pitchers, something that the Dodgers have a lot of left-handed hitters in this lineup. Teoscar Hernandez is going to battle when teams go after and try to throw their left-handed pitchers. Teo is going to go out there and have a big season, and they're going to put him in a lot of opportunities to succeed. And if you have to choose between Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, and Teoscar Hernandez as far as who to pitch to, Teoscar Hernandez is going to get some good pitches to hit, and I fully expect him to have a good season and potentially get a really good solid deal out of that, whether that comes with him coming back to the Dodgers in 2025 or if he moves on to another organization as well. New Blue Order says, is Bobby Miller really going to be a playoff quality number 3 starter? I think this is a big year for Bobby Miller. We saw him come up. It was really his first big league season last year, and he was able to go out there and perform. He's got the velocity, he's got the great stuff, and he's got the look to be a top of the rotation type of starter, or at least top of the rotation for just about all big league clubs. With the Dodgers, it's Yamamoto, and it's Glasnow at the top of the starting rotation right now. But Bobby Miller still has a lot of good numbers. It's going to be about that adaptation to the big moments. I think he learned a lot in that big league postseason appearance, which didn't go very well for him last season. It's going to be about how he makes this adjustments, because there's going to be a lot of adjustments that you make in your second big league season. Same with the James Outman. How is he going to make the adjustments through the course of his sophomore season? There's probably going to be some sophomore slumps that they are going to have to overcome, or a lot of big league hurdles that they're going to have to do. We saw it with James Outman last season when he got into some slumps. He was able to battle out of it, make the appropriate adjustments, and that was perhaps some of the most impressive things that we were able to see with the James Outman. I think we're going to see some of those opportunities with Bobby Miller. I think he is going to overcome a lot of those, and I think he can be a big league quality number 3. But even if he's not, you're still expecting a Walker Buehler. You're still potentially expecting a Clayton Kershaw or a James Paxton or some of these other younger guys to perhaps emerge. Dodgers have a lot of options. It is not going to be a given for Bobby Miller to be a playoff quality number 3 going into the postseason. He's going to have to perform. He's going to have to earn it. He has all the talent in the world to be able to do that. And he still has all the talent in the world to be a top of the rotation type of pitcher. The stuff is just downright nasty. I'm excited to see him continue to grow and develop. Daniel says, do you think Chris Owens will make the team this year? It's going to be really tough for him. We've seen him a lot in spring training, and you see the Dodgers get a lot of these guys, a lot of good, solid depth pieces to this club. And with Chris Owens, the question is where and how does he get, first off, onto the 40-man roster? And then how does he get onto the 26-man roster? That is going to be a really tough hurdle for him to overcome, especially with the addition of Andre Lipsius to this Dodgers organization now. So I don't anticipate it. However, that does not mean that Chris Owens should just give up with everything he has, because just as we talk about with the prospects, you are not just performing in front of the Dodgers or in front of the club that you're facing against. You're performing in front of every single other big league organization every single time you go out there and perform. So whether it be there isn't an opportunity with the Dodgers, which I find it very hard for there to be an opportunity with the Dodgers with the talent that they have. Maybe there's an injury and they have to call up a Chris Owens, but that might just be a short-term option. Play like you're performing in front of every single other organization, because every single other organization is watching. That's the message that Chris Owens has to take. And it's just going to be tough because there's not really a lot of roles and spots for him on this roster, especially if you don't have spot for Miguel Vargas or an Andy Pages or a Hunter Fiducia or any of those guys. It is just so hard and difficult to crack this Dodgers roster. Right now, we're going to continue on to the comments. Right now, we're going to continue for just a couple of more minutes, get into a couple more of these comments. We got 2 potential cost-controlled outfielders for the future. Outman in center, Pages in left. There's a vacancy in right field for the future since Outman and Pages are cheap. Pay Tucker for right field. That's to talk about getting a Kyle Tucker for the outfield. That would be Kyle Tucker is really good, and that would be amazing to see him be part of that outfield, and it's really fun to project. And this is the value of having these guys like an Andy Pages and a James Outman work out. That opens up ability to get a guy like a Kyle Tucker perhaps in the future. It allows you the flexibility financially that you need to get these type of players. So you want to root for these guys. You want to root for an Austin Gauthier to make this club. You want to root for a Dalton Rushing or a Diego Cartaya or a Hunter Fiducia or a Tyrone Lorenzo to be an important part for this catcher to take over that role one day or be part of the rotation one day. You want these rookies, you want these younger guys to be successful. That creates options and that creates flexibility. We'll have to wait and see as far as what that means. Talking about Blake Snell, 1 year, maybe 2 years, you could see that potentially being the way. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. So we're going to go ahead and just get through a couple of comments right now as we go ahead and get going. Let's see. Denard says, how can the Texas Rangers trusted a rookie, Evan Carter, to play in that cleanup in the World Series, but the Dodgers can't trust their own prospects like Pages and Hurts to be on the opening day roster? That's a really good point, and that is a difference in opportunity, and that is a difference in philosophy that the Dodgers have, and the Dodgers seem to trust a lot of their veteran type players. They want to keep a lot of their culture. This is some of the opportunity costs that comes with getting a Jason Hayward, who's a good culture guy, getting a Kike Hernandez, who's a good culture guy, is it eliminates opportunities for your big league club, for guys like Andy Pages to be a part of your opening day roster, for having guys like a Daniel Hudson and Blake Trinan, 2 really good, talented veterans with good past success. it eliminates opportunities potentially for guys like a Kyle Hurt or a Michael Grove or a Gavin Stone or any of these younger guys. There's going to be guys that miss out on opportunities because of that. That goes down to a philosophy, that goes down to what the Dodgers decide to do. It has been very successful, especially in the regular season. We'll have to wait and see how it comes out. There will be opportunities, Kyle Hurt and Andy Pages, those this upcoming season. Don't worry about that. And it is true that Evan Carter made his debut in September, but he did get an opportunity at the big league level during the World Series, and he was very successful with that. So I think that is going to do it here tonight here on Dodgers Dawgs. Actually, one more thing before we go out, because I had announced it a little bit before. It's a little bit of a fun thing as we go ahead and close out here on Dodgers Dawgs. I had mentioned something about pontooners. What exactly do I mean by that? And I want to give a little bit of a shout out and a little bit of a just a shout out to my home club, the team that I hang out and talk a lot about with the Great Lakes Loons. This is something a little bit fun. If you guys aren't completely aware that the minor league baseball does, there is a lot of fun, unique aspects with minor league baseball, and that actually includes alternate identities that the minor league clubs have. And I want to give a shout out to the club, the high A affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Great Lakes Loons, who announced their newest part of their club, their newest alternate identity, the Great Lakes Pontooners. Now, if you're not aware of what the pontooners are, there's not a lot of time, unlike California, where it feels like I've never been, but you can go to the beach quite a bit. You can go to there all the time. There's not a lot of time that you can get on the water if you're in the Great Lakes or Great Lakes area. If you're in Michigan, where it snows all the time, where today it was 71 degrees, and this is like the first time ever that it's been this warm here. But one of the things that the people in Michigan do is they get on their boats and they go slow on the water and they enjoy their pontoons. And so the Great Lakes Loons announced their newest alternate identity, the Great Lakes Pontooners. They do have hats, they do have merch on this available at loons.milbstore.com. I have not gotten any pontooners gear yet, but you know that I will be getting some soon. So that's just a little bit of fun aspect that is going on within this system that will be coming up in the middle part of July 11th through the 13th. So if you're interested, Great Lakes Loons Pontooners, Great Lakes Pontooners is going to be coming up. So that is going to do it here on Dodgers Daily. Dodgers Dawgs is part of the Dodgers Daily Network. My name is Austin Brubaker. It's been a pleasure to be able to be here, part of this show. We'll be doing this every single Monday night, talking a lot about Dodgers baseball as we get closer and closer to opening day, 16 days away. A lot of really important roster decisions that are starting to take place. There's a new addition. Welcome Andre Lipsius to the Los Angeles Dodgers. A lot of exciting things. If you didn't get a chance to, be sure to hit that like button. Also, very cool clip. Andy Pages hitting a crucial home run that was shown about the 20-minute mark of this show. If you didn't get a chance to catch that live, be sure to watch that. Shout out to the West Michigan Whitecaps, Dan Hasty, for that. It has been a pleasure to be a part of this show. Thank you guys so much for joining, tuning in. Go Loons and go Dodgers.